Right.
Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-hosts, Richie O'Leary and Alec Krauthamel. Guys, we got a few news items to talk about. Rutgers landed its second transfer portal commitment of the offseason in Tariq Francis. He is a, combo guard, point guard out of NJIT. He's listed at 6 foot tall, 180 pounds. We'll get into what went into his commitment and how we feel about that one. He's been a guy we've discussed on the pod, so longtime listeners will kind of have an idea of where we're going here. But if your first time listening, you'll find out in a few minutes. Rutgers also has a key piece announcing they are returning for next season in Dylan Grant, who made it official today. That's not a surprise, but he did put out a social media post about it. And Greg Schiano and Athan Kaliakmanis spoke to the media today after what was supposed to be a scrimmage, but due to weather concerns, they decided to just do a regular practice instead. So a lot of stuff to talk about, but before we get into any of that, this podcast is once again presented to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online sports betting. Final Four is upon us, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live game betting while the games are being played. We need some new copies sent our way too, because this is way out of date at this point. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to the Major League Baseball, NHL, and UFC, even the latest Kentucky Derby and NFL season futures are ready for you to bet. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and a live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, so Tariq Francis was somebody that we've discussed that Rutgers was in on, and they were debating on whether or not to take him. The connection here is Brendan Knight is very close to him. He is close to his dad, and I believe it's his godson, if I'm remembering correctly. An undersized guard at 6 feet tall, 180, which probably means he's more like 5'10". He's a very inefficient player on offense. I believe he averaged 19.2 points per game this season on almost 20 attempts per game, playing on a 6-25 NJIT team, playing in one of the worst conferences in basketball in the American East. I believe he shot roughly 37% from the field on the season. He had a usage rate of almost 34%. I don't necessarily understand this addition outside of if he's a depth piece. If we're planning on going into 2024, 2025, 2026 with him as a starter or a lead guard or our top scoring option, man, it's going to be a long season. And this is not a slight at Tariq at all. You know, this is just based purely on his play, not him as a person. But I thought Aaron Brightman did a great job of kind of dissecting why this addition didn't make a ton of sense. Rich, I'll start with you. What do you think of this addition, and how do you see him fitting into the Scarlet Knights?
I'm going to do something similar to what Brightman said and say, no disrespect to Tariq, no disrespect to anyone. It just doesn't fit the mold of what Pikel was trying to build. He's tried this before with like small guards over the past couple of years, and it just hasn't really worked out. He's not even small. He's like you said, he's probably more like 5'10", like my height. Imagine putting me out there against like the best of the best, because Michigan's outspending everyone. Purdue's got Braden Smith out there. Like there's just tall, lengthy guards. And that was Pikel's MO. That's exactly what he told us is what he was going to do this offseason. Get back to the basics, get back to the defense, get back to the length. And then you go out and add a third small guard. It just makes no sense to me. And it's not even, no offense to him. Like, what did he get rookie of the year his first year at NJIT? Yes. Again, shitty conference. Did he lead the conference in scoring points per game? Yes, but at such an inefficient rate. A lot of his shots are going up against smaller guys in that American East in the paint, or they're going to take mid-range shots. Now, he can hit a three from time to time. Even at 32%, not good. It's still one of the higher percentages that Rutgers would have had last year, which is crazy to say. But his numbers just aren't good. Does he have a solid assist rate? Yes, that's probably one of the biggest positives. He also shoots his free throw percentage at 84% last year. That's huge if you could draw the contact. It's just a lot of his buckets are going against smaller guys, and I just don't see. And again, he's also chucking too. Are they going to play him like, what was he averaging last year? Minutes. I don't even know what it was. I think it was like 30 something, 32. Is he going to get 32 minutes per game? Or I'm sorry, 35 minutes per game. Like, is he going to get 35 minutes per game at Rutgers? No. Is he probably going to be a starter? I think he actually might be. Like, this is just a kid you don't take now. This is a kid you take in June and July, and you're like, all right, fuck it. I need another guard. Like, come on board. But I think they want to start him. Like,
it's weird because, I mean, this kid's been in the portal for 3 weeks, and Rutgers is landing him now. It is a very strange time. Alec, what's your general feel on this edition?
mute.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Yeah, it's weird because, like you alluded to, Mike, the fact that he's been in the portal for a long time, and it was kind of like immediate thing that we had a feeling that Rutgers was going to reach out. I think in our portal tracker, right when he entered, he was one of those main guys that we talked about. It seemed like things were heading Rutgers' direction for a long time until there was a bit of a holdup. It seemed like, they were deciding whether they wanted to take him, and obviously the yes won out, which is slightly concerning that it took this long. I guess the biggest thing that sticks out to me is, he led the conference in scoring, but according to Bart Torvik and also KenPom, he finished with a below average offensive rating. According to Bart Torvik, he finished with a 95.4, and then according to KenPom, he finished with a also 95.4 offensive rating. So that's a bit of a concerning thing. His usage rate was through the roof. I think he led the conference. I think he was 7th in the country in usage rate, which also could be a factor in why he was very inefficient. But just looking at some of the numbers, he shot 49% at the rim, which actually isn't that bad. The main, worry that I have, other 2-pointers, he took 193 of them, which we've talked at length about. And he shot 36.3
attempts too.
Yeah, 36.3% on those shot attempts, which is not good. And only 13% of them were assisted, which means he's creating a lot with those shots. So it's definitely concerning. And I agree with Richie. I was actually going to say the same thing. We've heard Peichel say that he wants to go back to the defense first style, the Peichel ball style that kind of got Rutgers back up and running as a program. But you look at some of the pieces that you had. I mean, even looking back to the beginning, Mike Williams, probably about 6'5", Geo Baker, 6'4", Ron Harper Jr., who was more of a wing but still played guard a lot, 6'6", at least what he was listed at. I mean, Paul Mulcahy, 6'6", Caleb McConnell, 6'7". It's just, when now you have 3 of those guys, when you got JaMychal Davis, Lino Mark, and Tariq Francis, who are all 6'2" and under, where is that length coming from? Now, you get Dylan Grant back, which is definitely a good and much needed part of this return, and he'll definitely play a part of that, but he's probably going to play the 4. A lot of what's predicated on the Steve Peichel defense is the backcourt and wings having that length and size. So I don't know where it's going to come from at this point. That's what worries me. Maybe if he has a lower usage rate and he kind of cleans up some of his shot selection, he could be a little bit more efficient. But I feel like we've been saying that about a few different guys that have come in. I mean, namely Tyson Acuff last year. Now, I know that kind of got derailed due to injury, but still, similar thing where he comes in, wasn't on a very good team, had a really high usage rate, took a lot of shots, a lot of not great shots, and it kind of never really put it all together for a full season in a lower volume, hopefully higher efficiency type role, and that never ended up happening. So, I definitely think he could be, it could be good as long as he's not the number 1 option on the team. If he's like the number 3 or 4 option, I definitely feel a little bit better. But the question is, does that happen? Again, I think I said this when we talked about Darren Buchanan Jr. I kind of want to wait to see and fully feel about these additions until the rest of the portal class comes in, which portal closes in 2 weeks? So a lot of the guys that are in the portal are in, and I don't know how many others will enter. You don't have a lot of. I don't want to say that you don't have a lot of time to fill out the rest of the roster, but I think summer workouts start in like late June. That's about 2 months away. So to get a higher end, to get these higher end players that you need on a Big Ten team, they kind of got to get it going at some point.
Well, grad transfers can enter whenever too. Don't forget.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It does seem like that Rutgers, while we've heard a lot of them being involved with players, there hasn't really, it seems like they might have just checked in on guys. There hasn't been a lot of people who have visited. Rutgers is certainly not near the top in terms of NIL in basketball. Burner Ball just did an unofficial poll where they took each team's what's purported to be each team's top money earner in NIL, I believe it was. There was, I think Yaxel Luxembourg is making $4 million at Michigan. You have Braden Smith making $3 million at Purdue. Basically, like almost every team in the conference has somebody making almost $2 million or more. Rutgers, nobody reported anything for Rutgers. That was the only team that didn't answer in terms of, I guess, fan responses. So all this should be taken with a grain of salt, but Rutgers is certainly not playing in that part of the pool in terms of landing guys or targeting guys for multiple millions of dollars, which obviously limits.
Yeah. The weird part about Lindeborg is I feel like, I don't know if Michigan feels like, I feel like they're operating under the assumption that he's going to the NBA.
Yeah.
Because they've already brought in Ade Mara from UCLA and then also Mraz Johnson Jr. from Illinois. So it feels like one of those guys probably isn't going to start by the time November rolls around. I feel like one of those guys may not be on the team, which then opens up $4 million for Michigan to spend elsewhere. So,
yeah, you're right. The Michigan guys told us, and I posted this on the boards. They were only taking Mara, whatever it is, if Yaxel was going to NBA, which they already thought Yaxel was going. So them getting Mara yesterday basically kind of seals the deal a little bit, but not really.
Now we got to see where. He's
minutes,
unbelievable.
I was like, holy shit! Like those are crazy numbers.
Yeah, you're talking about Lindeborg, right?
No, obviously he's really good. We're talking about Mara in like 13 minutes per game. Mara's got like 1.6 blocks, like 6 points per game, like 6 rebounds, and only 13 minutes. It's like, holy shit. Like, really productive.
I think it was like right after the Rutgers game is when they kind of fully unleashed him. Because I remember when UCLA played Rutgers, it was like he got a few spot minutes, and I remember people saying like, why isn't this guy playing more? And then they finally started to play him more.
So obviously this is an addition that if we're kind of looking at it right now, the grade I think is an incomplete, because if he's expected to be like the third guard or the fourth guard on the team, I think our grades would be significantly different than if he was expected to be the starting point guard. I do want to touch on some positives. I think we're all very hesitant to really heap a lot of praise on this edition because it doesn't really make sense. I think somebody on the boards described it pretty vividly and in a way that I appreciated. Let me just pull that up really quick. Because I don't want to butcher the poet's words here. This is from Rack 93. He said, a good way of phrasing it, there's never a coherent plan in the portal. They're like a schizophrenic high on meth on an Easter egg hunt all over the place. And that just really tickled me this morning. I needed something. But there are a few things that I will point out that Tariq Francis does well. Great free throw shooter, 84%. You always need great free throw shooters, especially down the stretch. American East Conference Rookie of the Year last year. His transition threes this past season were very good. He shot almost 60% on high volume in terms of transition threes. It's kind of the half court sets is where he struggled mainly. From beyond the arc, he shot 22 of 37 in transition threes and just 44 of 176 in half court sets on 3-pointers. If we can just not be super reliant on him, I think it'd be a fine addition. But if we become super reliant on him, especially because he's not a great defender and he is undersized, and if we have to play two of Lino Mark, JaMychal Davis, and Tariq Francis in our starting lineup, like we're done. Like cancel the season. Like we're getting cooked. Like you said, Rich, there's too many big guards in the Big Ten to have our front court be so undersized like that.
Well, there's like two things I got real quick. Number one, like the fact that they had an internal debate about this, and like I've posted about it multiple times, like the coaching staff was debating so long about it. And I think it got to the point where obviously someone ended up winning out, but at the same time, it's also at like when you look on the guard boards and the guards they've reached out to, Clark committed, Lovejoy returned to Detroit, Joel Bethia, you had no shot at, went to Bama. Nick Boyd went to Wisconsin. Abdi Bashir went to Kansas State. So Cam McDowell's visiting Utah. Cam Kraft staying in the Midwest. Kennard Davis is at Ohio State. The Tracy kid, who you just showed interest in as of recently, is probably going back closer home to Florida, has a visit to VCU next week, also has Washington lurking in the background. Like, I think they're at the point where they were just like, we have no other choice. And again, not a slight on him, but like no other choice. Now, is Tariq Francis going to play? 100% he's going to play. Like, you don't have anyone else in his backcourt. He's by far, and this is not saying it's a good thing. Out of your current backcourt, he's your best scoring option right now. I'd take him over Michael Davis in terms of scoring. In terms of defense, I flip that. But like right now, your starting lineup is technically speaking Tariq Francis, JaMychal Davis, Darren Buchanan, Dylan Grant, Emmanuel Ogbole. Like, what the you want 10 wins next year? Because that's what you're getting with that. Like, it's not even Pico ball anymore. This is just, I don't know what. This is worse than Stony Brook. This is like NJIT's roster, basically.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very long season if we don't add some impact players in the portal. I don't know if there are certain guys that they are working behind the scenes, or if they know of a few guys that they're planning on contacting after they enter. I honestly don't know.
Here's like the thing is, and this is just me like being annoying at this point, but like I'm just gonna keep repeating myself. Like Pico told on the record with all the media recently saying we were reaching out to guys and they already have their locations. You have to fucking cheat. You have to go behind the scenes. You have to back channel and talk to these guys and get in contact with them before they even enter the portal. It's just the way of the world now. On top of it, like, I know you don't have money, but you got to be strategic about how you're going to spend this, because we don't even know what Francis' number is. And if it's anything over, like, I want to speculate right now and probably say it's like 200 to 300 minimum, because that's what every player's getting in the portal right now. And if it's more than that, I'm pissed off because you just spent the chunk of the only money you had left on a kid who's meh. Maybe
probably not going to make an impact, you know.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's going to play. Like, so anyone that says he's not going to play is just stupid, doesn't know ball. Like, he's going to play significant minutes, if not be a starter. That's what transfers do. Transfers don't come to sit. Like, if he wanted to like be a starter, he would either start at Rutgers or he would go to his other option, which was on the table, which we didn't even talk about, fucking Pepperdine. Like, Zoe 101's fucking campus.
Beautiful campus. Absolutely beautiful.
I didn't realize that until today. Yeah. Like, that's awesome. That is such a cool school.
Maybe that's why they haven't been able to win the WCC, because they're too busy going to the beach, which I would too.
That's fair. But make the excuse for Coastal, because they've been pretty good.
Well, that's true. I guess another thing on I guess the financial aspect of it, there's one way that this kind of feels better, where it like maybe it's a like we're gonna take a bit of a lower price here on our guards that we can focus on spending more money. I think Aaron Brightman said this also on getting someone like a big time center for a lot of that money that's left, which it makes sense if that's like one of the main parts of it. Like you said, though, if you're spending a lot of that remaining money on Tariq Francis, then that also doesn't feel very good. But if this is a way to like help kind of work around the margins of not having the same war chest of money that many of the other top Big Ten schools have, I could see it working out in that regard.
That was my other thing I wanted to say, because Mike said it before. Maybe they're working behind the scenes. I feel like that's also not a thing anymore, because all these agents are feeding every single piece of info. I'm getting texts from agents, and I'm not even the hoops guy, about like X player, Y players. Oh, he's hearing from this. He's going on a visit. I got a kid going from DePaul going on a visit to so-and-so today. And I'm like, are you AB? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what am I supposed to do with this info?
And no offense to you, Richie, if they're telling you, they're telling other schools as well.
Exactly. So there's no way that like anyone Rutgers is interested in, it really isn't out there already.
Oh yeah, a ton of the businesses, like it's just bouncing offers off of all of the different teams and hoping that someone will bite and give you the most.
Exactly.
Yeah, and these agents are kind of coming to programs with like a menu. It's like the Cheesecake Factory menu. It's like, okay, we have our guards here. He's $750. This guy's $500. We have all our centers here. You're interested in a center? Yeah, okay. We have 7 centers we're representing. This guy's going to cost you this. Yeah, and they try and combo guys too. Like, if you take 3 of our guys, we'll knock this much off your price. Like, it's a really seedy time to be in college athletics.
And football too.
And football 20%. Too. Like, let's not talk about that too, which is crazy.
Anything else on Tariq before we get into the other basketball news item of the day?
Hot take: I think he's a starter right now. I think he'll be a starter come game 1.
I know the staff is very high on Leno Mark, so I could see either one. Right, I think it's a coin flip right now.
Yeah. I guess before we get into Dylan Grant, there is one other thing. Rich, you reported that Rutgers is about to get a visit from a big man.
Oh, yeah.
But
I
it's
forgot.
not necessarily a big man that has had any experience, or maybe is 3 or 4 years into a college strength and conditioning program. He's another member of the class of 2025. So tell us what's going on with big man recruiting at the high school level for Rutgers.
Yeah. So Parker Jefferson out of California, former Minnesota commit and even signee, ended up requesting his release. I think it was like 9 days ago, something like that. Early April, he requested his release from the program. They got a new coach in Medved from Colorado State. So he just wanted to look elsewhere. They both agreed it kind of really wasn't a fit for one another. So now he's starting to look around, see what's available. Rutgers was one of the first schools to reach out when he did end up decommitting, or I guess getting his release, whatever you want to call it. He is going to visit Rutgers. I don't have a set date for that yet, but he is going to visit Rutgers, Stanford. I think he's at Stanford today, actually. And what was the other one? There's a third one. I can't remember. It's a smaller school. Hold on. I got to pull it up.
Was it San Francisco?
San Francisco. That's what it was. He's also hearing from Loyola Marymount, but he probably won't visit. Now, those schools aren't great, mind you, among those names. But this is a kid who's a top 150 kid in the rankings, number 140 overall, top 13 center in the country. Had offers from Arkansas, Florida, Iowa, Oklahoma State, SMU, Texas Tech. He's a Texas native, but playing in California. It's just like Chris Nowoli's, I think, a Nevada native playing in Texas. So it doesn't really matter. High school is just weird now for those kids. But yeah, so I think Rutgers has a pretty good shot, though. It sounds like they're pretty heavily involved. Originally, he was thought of being an Arkansas lean because his mom played hoops there. His dad played football there. They didn't show a ton of interest, went to Minnesota, likes the idea of the Big Ten, likes the idea of back to the basketball, which every big man basically loves the conference because it's old school and kind of boring, to be honest, but that's my opinion. I think they have a good shot, though. The problem is you have Javonte Ware coming in at 6'8", 6'9", 240, 250-ish. You have Parker Jefferson, who would come in at 6'9", 240-ish. You have Emmanuel Ogboy, who's huge and doesn't do a whole lot, but it's not going to stop them from hitting the portal still. Just put it like that. They're still going to look at a big man in the portal, but I think with 15 scholarships now, they're not using 15, they're using 13, whatever. I think this would be a solid addition and a developmental one because he has a really nice offensive skill set. He can hit a three. He's got a mid-range. He's got a post game. His defense is where it's a little questionable, but if you're that confident in your defense that Steve Peichel somehow is, I think that you got to be able to trust. You got to be able to assume, not trust. You got to be able to assume that thinks he can turn him into something defensively. Put it like that. I think he's a good player, though. I think he's very unique.
Yeah, I guess as long as it's not keeping them from going after someone in the portal, then I would be okay with it at that point. I do think, this is a different case because it was the result of a coaching change, but we saw Rutgers go after a couple high school bigs at this time last year as well, and they didn't really do a whole lot in their freshman season. I mean, looking at Victor Mikic was the big name, Mikic, however you say it. He was the big name.
Champ.
Yeah, NCAA champion at Florida. He played in 4 games and did not score. He had 2 rebounds, which that was a loaded front court, granted at Florida, but still. And then the other one, Jamie Vincent, who ended up going to Texas. He played in 9 games, I think it was. Yeah, 9 games, scored averaged 2.2 points a game in those 9 games, around 5 minutes a game. So it's a little worrying seeing that and seeing if it trends into this year, but again, is a different situation, and like you said, he has a offensive game to kind of build around. So, I guess we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out.
It's baffling to me that we took 5 freshmen last year and it spectacularly did not work out. So what are we doing again this year? Taking 5 freshmen, but except instead of having 2 top 5 draft picks in that freshman class, we have just a bunch of middle of the pack, like 150-ish ranked kids at best. I don't know. I'm just I want to be positive towards the basketball program, but this has just been an off season that is just antithetical of optimism. So
and the other
thing Aaron Brightman said is he'd love to just like eat crow after this season. He would eat a whole bucket of it, but There's just not a whole lot of evidence that there's a lot of positivity going around. Sorry to cut you off there, Alec.
No worries. But the other problem is, like, who is the best shooter as the players that are listed on the roster right now, including the transfers? Who is the best perimeter shooter?
Oh God. Like, are you talking about who do I trust to make an open three, or who statistically is the best?
I guess a mix of either one. I mean, that the problem is that we don't have really an answer because Dylan Grant showed some flashes as a potential catch and shoot spot up guy at times last year. Caden Powers is coming in and shooting is probably one of his better attributes, but we'll see. Again, as a true freshman, how big of an impact is he going to have? Darren Buchanan obviously struggled from the perimeter, but that's not really where he's best at. I mean,
who's going to
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry. I was running.
Yeah. I guess I'll pose the question to you as well, Richie. Of the players, including Francis and Buchanan, of the players that are going to be on the roster next year, right now, at least that we know of, who's the best shooter out of all of
them? Chris Nwoli.
I didn't think about him.
Yeah.
I think that might actually be the legitimate take there. I think he's going to play solid minutes as like a seventh guy, maybe.
Which is interesting because, I mean, Nwoli, one of the biggest knocks on him over the last year or so is like his jumper was like in bad shape, but he's improved it. So,
I mean, hey, when you have, I didn't think Jeremiah O'Neal would improve it, or Jermaine O'Neal would improve it, but he somehow did, I guess. That's maybe a hot take, actually. Maybe it is, Mark. I don't know.
I said maybe Caden Powers, but also how much of an impact is he going to have early on?
He's like a decent 3-point shooter. I don't know if he's gonna be down the bench.
Right.
I don't know. That's a good one. That's a really good
the fact
question.
that it's this difficult to even come up with even a semblance of an answer is pretty telling.
It might also be Tariq Francis based on some of the numbers that we talked about already as well.
Honestly, What about the guy who shoots all the 3-pointers in pregame? That's like 6'11", 250, 260. Maybe more.
The guy who's no longer with the program?
No, Emmanuel Ogboy is still there.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the kid from Michigan.
No, it's wild because like you watch warm-ups, right, Alec? And you just see Emmanuel chucking threes, and it's like, boom, off the backboard. Boom.
Raindrops.
That's exactly what it is. It's just like, oh, my God, why are we doing this? Like, that's a good question. That's a good question. Damn.
At home. If anyone's seen Along Came Polly.
Oh, great movie.
So basically, I've stumped you guys.
Yeah. You've sufficiently stumped us.
I'm going to take it a step further. Game's on the line, just hypothetically. They get that close to where the game's on the line. Who takes this shot? Like, same question, essentially, but who's taking that game-winning attempt?
I mean, if we're
praying someone gets fouled at the rim?
I mean, thinking... Now, some guy who's taken a lot of shots, I guess Francis would be the first answer, is a guy who's put up a lot of looks.
Which, back to my point, I think he's a starter.
Last basketball news item we got today. Dylan Grant is returning. Shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but he did announce that on social media. I don't think there's a ton you need to go into on his return, other than we're getting the only guy that arguably the staff really, really, really wanted to come back from the team last year.
Ooh, one more hoops thing. I don't know if you said it when I was gone. I don't think you did. But the player to be named later in the Darren Buchanan trade, Jeremiah Williams. Yeah, George Washington visit this week. You did say it. Okay, I'm gonna.
No, I didn't say it, but that's the exact verbiage I was thinking about using.
Okay.
For that
there
tweet
you go.
that you sent. Yep.
Yeah.
He's on a visit right now to George Washington. He's got a bunch of mid-major interest, it seems.
So does George Washington still have money? That's just my question. Like, I'm just curious because they're involved with a couple different transfers. The Jaden Tracy kid, Jadrian, whatever it was, something Tracy from Oregon, mentioned George Washington. A couple other guys mentioned George Washington. So did George Washington have money and just not spend it on?
So here's the thing, too. You got to think of, like, I don't think anybody thinks Lathan's a bad player, right? But I think everyone kind of knew that it was best in everyone's interest for him to move on because Rutgers couldn't afford him. They need a defensive first, big, but Lathan clearly has a ton of talent. And I think it's a similar situation for Buchanan where, like, it's not that he's a bad player, but given the role he's going to have on their team with Rafael Castro kind of, being the focal point of their offense now, it just makes sense for everybody for him to move on.
Okay, that's fair.
But that's kind of my read on things. All right, let's talk some football. Schiano and Athan spoke to the media post practice today. Little surprising. Rich, you could tell me if I'm wrong. I don't remember a player getting multiple availabilities in the spring previously, and Athan's now spoken to the media twice. Alec, I'll ask you too. Do you ever remember this happening?
I mean, this is my first spring fully covering, so I don't have much help there.
I don't think so. Maybe the no, because usually it's a different player for the scrimmages too. Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're right. I got to double check on that though.
So they both spoke today. I am very impressed with Athan speaking to the media. He just seems very polished. We've talked about it before. He's got like a calm intensity about him where like he gives very thoughtful answers, but also is somebody who you could trust to like represent the like if you sent him to go to like talk on Barstool or like a show that's typically trying to get sound bites out of people, I feel 100% confident that Athan would say everything in a way that's both authentic to him, but would not in any way piss off Schiano. Like he would never say anything that would be bulletin board material, but he also gives very good answers. And that is not an easy line to walk, like to both be interesting and also not put yourself in the crosshairs of your coach. Alec, you were there and spoke to both Schiano and Athan. What were some of the things that stood out to you from today's presser? And you could start wherever you want. Pretty open-ended there.
I mean, like you said, the two, Schiano and Athan in particular, obviously they're very polished when they're talking, so they're not going to say, too much, I guess, I don't know, like you said, bulletin board material stuff. One interesting thing that when talking to Athan, he was asked, I think it was Fuchs that asked him about was how he's grown as a leader on the team and how he's kind of stepped up to that challenge. Things like, keeping everyone accountable, but also not letting everyone get too down on themselves. Like talking about the adjustment, particularly for some of the transfers and freshmen to Big Ten football. That it's not always going to be easy, but it's a process and all that. I agree. It's like how'd you put it again, Mike? How'd you put it with him, Athan?
Like he just got like this quiet intensity about him.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it was. It's like in a positive sense as well, which I always enjoy. So yeah, Athan was very good to talk to. And then Schiano, a lot of the same usual business. Asking about certain position groups, things like that. He was asked about Cam Miller. I think Brian Fonseca asked him about Cam Miller, because I don't think he'd mentioned him at all this year. I'm interested to see where he fits into that defensive back room, because there's a lot of new guys and guys that don't have a lot of Big Ten experience in that room. Let's see. I asked him about the passing game as a whole and how they're progressing, and I thought Schiano had a good answer where he said, like, the biggest jump of improvement and consistent improvement comes from the second cycle of doing something where, a lot of the infrastructure and a lot of the returners are still there on the offense, particularly in the passing game this year. So they've started to look better and better. I also asked him about Gus Zielinskis, who we talked to on Thursday. Should have a story about the beginning of the week or maybe earlier, not sure yet. But him going into his third year starting center, his brother Hank coming in, his other brother, I think Ned is his name is going to Princeton. So the entire Zielinskis family is in New Jersey after he grew up in Colorado, which is pretty cool. He's very excited. Schiano said that Gus is very excited for Hank and, trying to help him be better and also helping himself be better as well as a leader and things like that, especially as a center, which is one of the more important parts of the offensive line as a leader, working with the quarterback. And Athan said that his relationship's been really good too with him. So a lot of good notes from today.
Yeah, a lot of what Schiano said was pretty similar. A lot of specific questions about individual players and how they're coming along and their leadership skills. Somebody asked about the defensive transfers, and I think Schiano kind of broadened that response out to kind of all the new players who have come in. I thought Athan, he mentioned specific kind of plays that I thought was interesting. He mentioned that Colin Weber is somebody who's really impressing him. He had like a really nice catch down the seam today. DT Sheffield is really showing out. It just sounds like, just generally, I feel like
we did.
It's on Twitter or Instagram. There's a really nice clip of Athan hitting DT Sheffield for like a
for a deep pass. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
it just feels like, when you kind of cover a team for a while, especially when it's the same coach for a while, you kind of get a vibe. I feel like a few years ago, like Schiano was intentionally like very positive to try and like hype certain people up and give people confidence. And now it just feels like he's kind of having to like hide a smirk, because I think he knows this team can be really good this year. And so I don't think he would ever outright say that, but just from the way he's answering questions about this team, I think there's a lot of confidence that they can be very good this year. Rich, what's your kind of take on, based on what was said today?
Yeah, I mean, after dealing with him for it's probably going on like 10 years now. Well, not Schiano specific, but Rutgers football, and just getting the vibe of the coach. And Schiano's obviously been here for 5 seasons now. You kind of get like a vibe of like if he's like happy with practice or if not. We obviously get to see a little bit more than the average person too. I'm very confident in this team. I think this roster, I think you could tell he's very confident in the team too. This roster is probably the best rosters he's assembled since, I don't want to say 06, but I'm like close to saying 06. Like this is like top to bottom a very damn good team.
I know Christian Dyer brought up, sorry to cut you off, Rich. I know Christian Dyer brought up like 2007, 2008, like those kinds of rosters as well.
Yeah. You could probably say that better, because it's not going to be a team that's taking down the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah.
But,
2007 did.
Well, you're right. South Florida. Fuck. Go to 2008. Anyway, I do think there's still like a possibility to have a damn good season. It's just that schedule's so goddamn hard. It's hard to predict. Yeah. But he says all the right things. He never really says anything like out of pocket. He'll always be like very quiet about it. He'll never come out and say, "Hey, that's the best rebounder I've had ever," like, or my best offensive rebounder, and then the kid doesn't play. Sorry to keep attacking basketball, but it's a different world in both sports. I don't know what they're going to finish with record-wise, but I think that they have a hell of a roster up top to bottom. I think their defense, he's very excited about. He won't come out and say it specifically, but that defensive line he's extremely excited about specifically. The corners, there's a little bit of work that needs to be done still, just because it's new guys, new faces, some young guys making moves. Bo Mascow somewhere in that, probably in starter mix right now. Cam Miller was a starter at Penn State. Where does he fit in this mold? Jet Elad, you probably just assume you have him because he is practicing, but you don't really know, I guess, technically. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think he said anything too crazy. I do find it funny that a lot of it is just still coach speak, like at the end of the day, because like everyone's so excited to talk Schiano once a week, and then it's like, hey, how's Cam Miller? He's a great kid, good kid. He plays football. Like, chop. Next. It's just funny.
Yeah. He's very. I think he's gotten a little more open, but he's still at the core like the same protectionist type personality.
Real quick, Athan's like, when you listen to him talk, he just reminds me of like, and it's a weird comparison, I guess. It reminds me of like a mini Kirk. Like he just sounds like they have the same type of like how they talk to the media, their approach and what they say. They think hard about it, and it's very like intricate and what they're trying to describe. And I'm just like, dude, you guys like really are the same person. This is
yep.
It's like when you get a dog and it's like people start to say your dog looks like you. It's like Athan starts to look like Kirk, and it's like, there we go. It's like,
I can totally see that.
It's hilarious.
Football wise, I think we just got one more thing. We're gonna do something a little different this year.
Oh, the draft! I got you.
The draft. We're gonna do an NFL draft challenge, and I'm gonna show you.
What's he putting on?
What do you got there?
I'm getting there. It's draft day, baby.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Shadur.
What is this? Oh God.
Hey, where's my watch?
Did you buy that just for this?
You ever see Shadur when he does the thing with the icy watch?
I think so.
Come on, dude.
I didn't watch a ton of Colorado this year.
Sorry, I had to get into the bit.
Did you buy that just for these purposes?
I thought we were going to draft him, okay? Originally, when I bought it like a couple months ago. We're not going to draft him, I don't think.
He might fall out of the top 10 at this point.
Then we might trade back up, but Shadur, baby.
So it's going to be a Rutgers draft thing.
Yeah,
so it's going to be
get involved.
A draft challenge we're going to have 13 different Rutgers players who graduated and are eligible for the NFL draft.
Reflection.
So the way it's going to work is that you're going to answer 3 questions on each player. 1 is, will this player get drafted? And that'll be 1 point. 2, what round will they get drafted in if you said yes in question 1? That'll be worth 3 points. And the final question will be, what team will they get drafted by or sign with as an undrafted free agent? That'll be worth 5 points. So here's a couple examples. If you say Kyle Monangai is going to get drafted in the 5th round by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he ends up getting drafted in the 6th round by the Cowboys, that'll land you 1 point because you got him getting drafted right. If you say Holland Pierce is going to go in the 3rd round to the Baltimore Ravens, and he goes in the 3rd round to the Kansas City Chiefs, you get 4 points. You get 1 for getting drafted, and you get 3 points for the right round. Let's say you say Aaron Lewis is going to get drafted in the 2nd round by the Dallas Cowboys. He goes undrafted, but he goes to the Dallas Cowboys. That'll get you 5 points. Make sense? So this form we will post in the episode description. We'll need your rival's username and your email, and then you'll have to fill out this form for each player. And the winner will get a prize. We don't have a prize yet. Rich, do you have any ideas of what we can give away?
The Shitter Sanders jersey?
No, it's mine. I'm keeping it. And maybe as long as he's not on like a rival team, I'm keeping it. If anything, I'll burn it. It's not the point. I was thinking maybe, and like this might just be, this is up to the winner technically. If you want the rookie NFL jersey of whoever Rutgers rookie you want, like if you want Holland Pierce and say it's like a Jets jersey or something, I don't think the Jets will get him. But if you want a Jets Holland Pierce jersey, we'll make it work for you. We'll figure it out. We'll get it delivered to you.
Perfect. I love that. Actually,
like a Kyle Monangai Baltimore Ravens jersey. I feel like they just go after every Rutgers running back at this point. So why not another one?
No, that's perfect. I like that a lot. So you'll
whatever.
have to fill this out by draft day. So that Thursday, I think it's the 24th.
Yes.
Right. So
couple weeks, damn. 12 days.
Yeah, you have less than 2 weeks to fill this out. So we'll get this out on the boards and in the episode description. But just another way to kind of keep things fun around here.
Yeah, I'm trying. You guys aren't helping me.
Trying. Well, we didn't get the memo about that.
I didn't plan on doing it. And then I was like, oh, wait, I got to shoot door jersey. We're doing this NFL thing. Like, that's. And girlfriend's looking at me, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, give me the jersey. Give me the jersey. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, things are going off the rails. Thanks once again for listening. Yeah. We will probably have something early in the week. Who's speaking on Tuesday, Alec?
I believe it will be Vic Hall, I want to say, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Any players on Tuesday?
We haven't sent in the list yet. Once we send in the list, we'll find out probably Monday morning, right?
Okay. Yes, correct.
Or afternoon, maybe. So, yeah, we'll find out by then.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, thanks once again for listening. For me and the guys, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.